Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. SIA, Nostalgic for the Present, is a bold, genre-defining experience that trades pop pageantry for pure artistry. Awe-inspiring vocals, breathtaking choreography, and iconic performances captured cinematically and soundtracked by an unmatched catalog of hits. This film was inspired by, informed by, SIA's performance at the Coachella Music Festival back in 2016. We'll get into all of that and why that matters and how it matters, how it impacts this film. We're joined today by the director of SIA, Nostalgic for the Present, Daniel Askill. Daniel, welcome to Cinemophile.
Thanks, Mike. Lovely to be here.
As I mentioned, I'm a big fan of SIA and her work and her persona. I like the way it feels to me like someone who has really taken ownership over her career, the way she presents herself, the material she chooses to work with, and what she seems like a very dedicated artist.
Absolutely.
I know you've worked with her for quite some time, going back. The first one.
The first video we actually made was Breathe Me.
Yes, Breathe Me. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, was that a 07 song at one time, or do I have that
No,
wrong?
that was a solo one of
Okay.
Sia's, but it was the 07 days were still present
Okay. Maybe that's
back
right.
then. Yeah, and I love some of those 07 songs that Sia collaborated on too. Really beautiful.
Well, tell me about the beginning of your collaboration with her. How did it come together?
I was lucky to meet Sia years ago through a mutual friend, Sam Dixon, who was playing bass with Sia at the time and also went on to produce a few songs of hers. I remember back in Sydney, first meeting her, and we just sort of struck up a bit of a friendship, actually. And I remember we were both living in the UK, and I'd started making films. Luckily enough, I think at some point she was like, I've got this track, Breathe Me. Do you want to make it with me? Unlike a lot of the other directing work I've done where I just sort of direct on my own, she was immediately like, should we make it together? Sia's so talented and has talented in a lot of different directions. And I think filmmaking is something she's obviously super passionate about. And yeah, we directed that video together in London. We shot like 3,000 Polaroids, I think, and reanimated them into a music video. And much like this film, it was really a friends and family kind of collaboration. A lot of the musicians she worked with and her friends at the time in that video. And we sort of lived in this little hotel for a few days that was the location for the video. And yeah, that was the beginning of working with Sia.
Interesting because you also worked with Paul McCartney, Lady Gaga, many others, high-end music talent, to say the least. Also, you worked on some Leonard Cohen related video work as well, which is also among the greatest songwriters and certainly of all time. So you bring with you this eye for talent and an ability to be able to project their talent in very creative ways. This is, I think, really what jumps out at you with this work as well. See, Nostalgic for the Present, just this jaw-dropping visuals, but you never feel disconnected from the art of the song.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So your film, SIA, Nostalgic for the Present, is being released in the 10th year anniversary of SIA's performance at the 2016 Coachella Music Festival. Let's talk about that journey from Coachella to what we see here today.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And, thanks for pointing out with those other artists too. And it is always a delicate and exciting thing to channel the music into something visual in a way that feels authentic. And I guess, I played music a lot growing up myself. So I've always loved that space between the music and the visual and how they speak to each other. And yeah, it was a great journey. Sia kind of came to me, much like with Breathe Me and the other videos we worked on, and said, "I'm doing this thing. Do you want to make it with me?" I remember being very slightly resistant to this one at first because obviously usually I just make films and this was very much more directing a live show. And I do think I probably said once, are you sure you don't want to get someone who's more versed in directing live shows? She was quite adamant that, hey, no, we're going to make a film and then we'll turn that film into a live show. I was like, okay, I'm on board. So we jumped onto some sound stages in Hollywood for a few days and made the film that you've seen. And then she used that film to replicate what we'd done in the film on stage at Coachella. And the film would play up on the large video screens while with dancers. That film was replicated on stage. We created an interesting kind of meta experience for the audience
Yes.
because obviously, usually you're used to having cameras on stage and it's being filmed live and projected up onto the screens. But this was actually doing the reverse, no cameras on stage. But I think some of the more savvy audience members at a certain point will be going, well, where are the cameras? And is Paul Dano and Kristen Wiig really there? And it just created a nice additional layer. So that's how it kind of came together. We filmed the whole film before it was ever performed on stage, and which led to now 10 years later on the 10th anniversary of this project and Sia's album during that period of like, let's gather up all that footage we shot back then, rebuild it into something that works as a movie. And so we've been sort of piecing that back together over the last year/6 months, pulling it all back together and remastering it as something that would work in a cinema. And that's sort of been that journey.
Yeah, it's a dramatic film. Going back to concert films that just kind of reframe the way you can go about doing something. In a manner of speaking, and I'm not trying to a direct correlation here, but it is a little bit of stop making sense in the theatricality of it and putting you inside up front and really in on stage in a matter of speaking. That's where I feel like they share this kind of very similar kind of vision about the storytelling. Is that a fair way
Th
to?
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, that's a very flattering comparison. I'm a huge fan of that film and huge fan of Talking Heads. I've actually used that too, to because when people who haven't seen this project, they'll say, "Well, what is it?" And I don't really want to say it's a concept film, and it's not exactly a visual album, and it's also got actors and emotional performances in it, as well as all Ryan's incredible choreography. So it is a hard one to describe, but I agree with you that I think maybe something like Stop Making Sense is, it's got a certain similarity in that I think it was sort of redefining the concept film idea a bit.
I just want to remind our listeners quickly that we're speaking with Daniel Askill, and he's the director of this wonderful film called SIA, Nostalgic for the Present. There are certain parts of the film that I just fell in love with. And knowing what Tig Notaro had gone through, it's a very emotional, if you know a little bit about her backstory,
Mm.
it's a very emotional part of the film for me.
Oh,
I
the
just felt like
diamonds.
there's someone who really came through a storm on the other side and to see her there.
Absolutely. And look, Sia, this is where Sia's emotional sensitivity and intuition is really amazing because I think she's really there with all those performers and Sia's music is so emotional and so much about transformation. And I think in a lot of those and it's interesting, I think different people who watch the film who, are tapped into the stories of some of the different actors in that. I think also the Ben Mendelsohn performance
Yeah.
was really the I know Sia and Ben had a sort of moment before we shot that sequence that, really taps into some really authentic emotional stuff and
Mhm.
in a kind of symbolic, allegorical way almost. And I think for people who are open to feeling it, I think on one level, this film is like a pop music experience, but on another level, there's a really transformative, emotional, and dare I say, transcendental kind of layer to it.
Her music is so powerful.
Yeah.
And it seems it's very much, yeah, it's the power of her. The music itself is always powerful. The words of her songs are empowering. I think she has a
Mm.
particular point of view that really does come across. There are other great performances in here. I mean, Kristen Wiig is wonderful, Paul Dano, Gabby Hoffman. But
Mm.
you know, but just knowing a little bit about, I'm a big stand-up comedian fan. I know what she had gone through, and I just to see that was just pretty remarkable. But Maddie Ziegler, which I really want to talk about because she is the thread in this film and embodies that sensibility of struggle and overcoming struggle and power. So that
I mean, what an incredible performer, Maddie. We were just blown away by every take. I think we could just sit back and just be blown away by Maddie's talent as a dancer and as a performer and an actress. I mean, she's really an exceptional talent, and what she was able to do at that age was quite incredible. Yeah, I'm still in awe of what Maddie did in these projects. It's really just exceptional and wonderful person.
I want to let people know that July 23rd, the film Sia, Nostalgic for the Present, is going to be in a wide release. And you can go to the website for the film, and for all of it is SIA, SIA, music.net. And you can find out, and it's playing in dozens, if not hundreds of theaters around the country on the 23rd. See it in a good theater with a good sound system. Once again, that's SIA Music, that's SIA music.net. It'll tell you about all the theaters, where you can see it, when you can see it. So please check it out because it will knock your socks off. Yeah, my congratulations. It's wonderful. It's just a really uplifting, beautiful performance. And again, Sia, who I actually saw her live with Zero 07 at the
Oh, amazing.
Universal Amphitheater when they were touring part of the KCRW extravaganza back in the day. They had a number of artists, and I saw them, and then certainly, as I've said to you, follower of her work ever since. So it was just, yeah, and I
Oh,
love her
beautiful.
persona. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
I love the way she presents herself.
I mean, what a talent. I just feel so lucky to have gone on this journey with her because she really is an amazing experience collaborating with her. I'm so glad you have that connection right back to the 07 era.
Thank you for the work. Thank you. And again, in addition to this particular work, you directed and co-wrote a sci-fi thriller called Lunacy, which is available at Apple TV as well as Prime Video. So for those listening to our conversation, check out some of Daniel's other work, including Lunacy. Looks amazing. I haven't had an opportunity to see it, but it looks really compelling. And so if
Thanks,
people want to
Matt.
explore more of your work, Daniel Askill, I would recommend that. And all of these different music videos that you've done over the years. I really appreciate your time and appreciate your artistry. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike. Really lovely speaking to you.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.